So Eagles training camp is continuing to heat up, and Jalen Hurts is on the verge of breaking a record, as QB1 continues to perform well and run Kellen Moore's new offense to perfection during camp. And speaking of Kellen Moore, it seems he may have just leaked the Eagles' plan for the wide receiver 3 position, and safe to say it's very interesting. Meanwhile, this Eagles linebacker is bringing energy and toughness to the defense, as he's hungry and seemingly ready to take on a big role this year, while the entire defense seems to have taken on a new identity, and it should be scary for opposing offenses. So let's talk about that and everything else from Eagles training camp. And we won't waste any time, let's get straight into it. Now, as we all know, Jalen Hurts has been absolutely lighting the Eagles defense up during training camp, and trust me, we're going to talk more about that a bit later. But one thing that did come out yesterday that was really interesting was an ad for flag football at the 2028 Olympics starring Jalen Hurts, where he lit the flame at the LA Coliseum. And the league actually announced that Hurts is going to be the official ambassador for Olympic flag football. And yes, obviously we're not going to actually get to see this sport at the Olympics for 4 more years, but with Jalen being the face of it, it kind of makes you wonder whether he's planning to play in it. And you also got to wonder if Hurts and the Eagles starters are going to play at all in the preseason this year. As last year, they obviously didn't, and then they really started slow and sloppy out of the gates, so that kind of makes you think that Nick Sirianni and the Eagles may want to reconsider that strategy. And based on what Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio had to say, it seems like there's a legitimate chance that the starters may actually suit up at some point.
Yeah, I think Nick is going to, at some point, tell you guys what the rotation may be generally speaking. I do think he's talked about playing those guys. I don't think he's made a final decision. But I do think it's good that guys get to play some in the preseason. Even the best players I've been around, they want to play, and they don't want their first play of the year to be a regular season game. They want to get out there and feel it.
Personally, I'm all for the starters playing, because not only will they get to kind of get a feel of things in terms of playing in an actual game before the regular season starts, but it'd also just be so exciting to see how the starting offense and defense look briefly against the different defense and offense in an actual game setting, as kind of like a sneak preview before the season starts. But regardless of whether the starters do get to play or not, we know that we will get to see both Kellen Moore's new look offense and the Vic Fangio-led defense for the first time, and on the defensive side of things specifically, it seems like we're going to see a new identity from them this year, as the Eagles hope to be a much more physically imposing and tough group than they were last season on that side of the ball, and safety Reed Blankenship went in depth on that, as he revealed what Vic Fangio and the Eagles defense expect their identity to be, and also why he's confident they'll be able to accomplish that this season.
He's big on playing football and playing it physical. So if that says anything, he wants us to tackle as legal as possible, but want to hit somebody as hard as you can.
I was going to ask you, what do you think the identity of the defense will be when it all comes together? Is that it?
Oh, that's exactly what it is. We play football as a defensive unit to oppose our will on people, and I don't think we did a great job last year, but this year we have a different mindset, and we have the guys in the room that can do it. Especially Vic, he is an old school football coach, and he shows us tackling clips all the time of like how it used to be, and obviously legal hits now that look illegal but are legal, and you want to mimic that as much as possible, because that's the game. It's legal in between the lines as long as you do it right. So
a little bit physicality. Is he coaching physicality?
Oh yeah, and the thing is, I feel like you have to have the people in the room that already have that physical aspect too. You can't just give it to them on this week I'm going to be physical. No, you got to come with that mindset every day, and I feel like we have the guys in the room that can do that.
So I just absolutely love that, because one of the most frustrating things about the defense last season was that they just seemed soft, and it was rare that you would see a big hit or instances where they would just physically impose themselves on the opposing offense. I mean, they just seem reactive instead of proactive, but it sounds like that's going to change this year under the new leadership of Vic Fangio, and you can expect a much more tough and nasty group out there that just imposes their will on opposing offenses. Now, of course, the defense along with the offense were back out at practice today, just days before the team's first preseason game on Friday, and the vibes seem to be high.
You ain't got nothing for us today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I don't even know what that was, but I'm glad to see Reed's having fun at least. Now, the bad news early on was that safety CJ Gardner-Johnson wasn't going to be practicing, as he had left the field yesterday with a shoulder injury and didn't go back in. However, the good thing about this is that the injury doesn't seem to be too serious, as yesterday Nick Sirianni went to go check on CJ after the injury happened, and when he came back out into the field, he said CJ was okay. And then today, while CJ wasn't practicing with the team, he was on the side field working with a trainer, and Dave Zangaro even reported that CJ's injury isn't expected to keep him out long, so that's definitely great news. And the other great news early on was that center Cam Jurgens was out there in pads practicing, which is obviously just fantastic after he left the field towards the end of practice yesterday. So it seems like the Eagles dodged a bullet with the injuries this time around. And also, staying with Cam, Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore spoke to the media today, and he revealed that Jurgens is doing a great job in his communication with Jalen Hurts at the line of scrimmage regarding different protections and calls, as it seems like their connection is already growing really quickly.
Yeah, constant communication. I love all the different side conversations after a drive, those guys teaming up and just talking through, hey, I made this decision, what did you see? And it continues into the film room. And so these guys just continuing to talk, get on the same page. That's what this time is for. It's such a fun time to watch these guys continue to build this thing.
So it's a great sign that these two seem to be getting on the same page quickly, because it's just so important. I mean, one of the reasons that Jason Kelce was so great was because of his mind and his communication at the line of scrimmage. And obviously, I mean, we shouldn't expect things to be perfect and seamless right away with Cam, nor should we expect him to be Kelce in that sense, but it's just awesome to hear that him and Jalen are getting on the same page and growing quickly when it comes to their communication, because the faster they get all that stuff down, the smoother things are going to run on the entire offense. But sticking with the offensive line, there is a competition going on right next to Cam Jurgens at the right guard spot, and Kellen Moore actually talked about one of the candidates for the job in Tyler Steen returning from injury, and he also just gave us some insight into the overall right guard battle as of right now.
No one ever wants to be out this time of year, and those things are hard on every player, and so obviously everyone wants to do what they can to get back out there. We still have time. We still have time here, and so certainly we're excited about what the future will hold for him and give him more and more opportunities, and we'll just let this thing play out. Again, we're early August here, and we'll continue to let this thing go.
Lane said he'd like to have some time to have kind of like the set offensive line, kind of have some time to work together. Do you have like a target date in mind that you'd like to have, or as you get close to the season for what?
No target date right now. Obviously, anytime you can get those guys working together, obviously, like Lane said, that's a critical aspect, just the communication. Those guys got to be aligned, but we'll just let it play out, and we'll see when it hits us.
So he pretty much just confirmed what we all had figured at this point, that there is a battle currently going on at that spot, and he also just said that they're going to continue to let it play out, and nothing's been decided yet. Now, there was a really interesting development today, as Tyler Steen was back doing team drills at practice, but it was Mekhi Becton who actually got the start at right guard, according to most reporters, while Steen was with the second team. However, Brandon Lee Gowden had said that he thought he saw Steen getting some reps with the first team in a series that Becton had started, so it's safe to say things are definitely heating up at this positional battle. I definitely like both guys and think both have a ton of potential, so I'll just be interested to see who ends up performing better during the rest of camp and also the preseason. Now, another battle that has been really heating up as training camp has gone on is the battle for the wide receiver 3 position, but it seems like the Eagles are already starting to come to a conclusion at this spot, as today it seemed like Kellen Moore may have actually leaked the Eagles' plans for this position.
We're really excited about the depth that we have there. These guys have done a nice job of hopping in there, taking advantage of situations, and it's going to be a collective group, and we'll utilize all these guys. It's a long season, you need them all.
So from that, it sounds like the Eagles are planning to use a by-committee approach for this position, where depending on the situation, any one of the guys could be put out on the field, whether that's Parris Campbell or John Ross or Johnny Wilosn, who has got a ton of hype in recent days, or Britton Covey, who has been playing well at camp. And overall, like I said on Friday, I like this because each of these guys has a unique skill set to offer, and each one is very capable of making plays and thriving in different situations. So I just think it'll be interesting to watch a lot of these guys during preseason to kind of get a preview of what each one might be able to offer the starting offense when the season rolls around. And also, I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. I mean, how would you feel about the Eagles using a by-committee approach when it comes to the wide receiver 3 position? Now, one battle that seems like it's starting to lean one way is the battle at outside cornerback, as for the 5th day in a row, it was Isaiah Rodgers getting the start opposite Darius Slay, making it his 6th practice overall to Keely Ringo's 3, so it definitely seems like Rodgers is starting to definitely get the edge there, while Zack Baun clearly has the edge in the linebacker battle, as he started once again at practice, and he seemingly has performed well throughout camp so far. And while Covey has had his good moments blitzing and also defending the run, his struggles in pass coverage continue to hold him back, while Baun just doesn't seem to have that issue as much, so it's clear that he is on track to start over Dean currently, and one thing that seems to have helped Baun's case is just the effort and relentlessness that he plays with.
That's something that's always been in my game. I always pride myself on that. I'm a hustle guy. From being a special teamer, it's all about effort and tenacity and always moving around, so that's always been part of my game.
Pure effort, pure heart, a person that loves the game of football, sticking his head in every play, on downhill runs, just, man, a guy that's just going out there being relentless, man, and I knew that about him, being with the Saints, he was on special teams doing it, and now it's just translating over to being, D versus D, O, so he's just letting his light shine.
So that's just so amazing, because the Eagles were clearly missing that edge and tenacity last season, not just from their linebackers, but from their defense as a whole. So the fact that Zack Baun brings that, and he's also apparently performing well at practice, it all just makes me excited to see what kind of contribution he's going to make to the defense this season as a starting linebacker. And I'm also really excited to see what Jalen Hurts is about to do, and speaking of QB1, he continued his great camp today, and he's actually right on the verge of breaking an Eagles record, so we're going to talk about that and so much more in just a minute. But real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles training camp, preseason, or regular season coverage coming in the future, then make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people watching the videos consistently, but you don't miss any other Eagles content just like this. So again, subscribe and turn on notifications, and also drop a like on this video. Let's see if we can hit 800 likes today. And now with that being said, let's get back into the video. So today was another very good day for Jalen Hurts at camp, as the team mostly worked on situational football during practice, as the offense was reportedly focused on just trying to kill the clock and end a game situation. So there were a lot of running plays going on, but Hurts was very good on the passes that he did throw, as he was 8 for 11 while converting most of the third downs he was presented with, and once again, he didn't throw a single interception. So Hurts still has yet to throw a pick during training camp, and this has put him on the verge of Eagles training camp history, as Hurts has now gone 156 pass attempts during camp without an interception, which puts him 1 shy of tying the Eagles training camp record and 2 away from breaking it. Albeit this is all in the years since reporter Elliot Shore-Parks has been covering camp, as he's the one that's been keeping track of the stats, but still, it's just super impressive that Hurts is seemingly going to break this record, and it's just another testament to how amazing Jalen Hurts has been during camp. And apparently, Jalen has also been doing this in extremely competitive practice settings, which is also a testament to Nick Sirianni and the culture that he's built, as backup quarterback Kenny Pickett was at the podium today, where he said that the offense and defense have been competing extremely hard against each other every day during training camp, and he gave a tremendous amount of credit to Nick Sirianni for that.
You know, you want high level, you want high competition every single day, and I think our defense is pushing us as well. You know, both sides going at it every day. Obviously, we're friends off the field, but as soon as we cross the line, you know, during practice, we're going at it every period, every snap. So I think it's a credit to the culture here and how Coach Sirianni runs it, and the things that he emphasizes in our team meeting. You see out in the practice field, and you saw, you know, under the lights in the link. So you know, it's been a lot of fun.
So it's cool to hear Nick get an endorsement from one of his players like that, because with all the criticism of Sirianni this entire offseason, it's just refreshing to hear him getting some credit from Pickett here for building winning culture and a competitive atmosphere. As you heard what Pickett said there, being that the things that Sirianni says in the meeting room in terms of just competing and playing hard show up out on the practice field. And I also think you can go even farther and see that this team is connecting really well right now, and Sirianni definitely deserves some credit for that too. So overall, it's great to hear that Nick is off to a great start at camp, and kind of the cherry on top in my opinion was yesterday when Sirianni and Jalen Hurts shut the media up about any relationship problems they may have. I mean, just listen to what they were saying about these two in contrast to the reality that went on yesterday.
It's absolutely concerning. We're talking about the quarterback and the head coach of the football team, and it's very clear that they are not on the same page. They don't get along. They don't think the same way. Yeah, it's concerning. I think they have to start hot. Honestly, I think they need wins. I think the only thing that is going to make this right is if they start winning games, the Kellen Moore thing works. But this has like a real disaster potential.
Yeah, it looks like they really don't like each other, doesn't it? And look, to be honest with you guys, I don't know who was talking there at that clip, but whoever it was better at least rethink their statement, because it seems like Jalen and Nick are just fine to me, and I just can't wait to see this duo together once again this season as they try and lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl title. But right now, we're just getting started as we're in the heat of training camp, and the Birds are going to be back at practice tomorrow before their first preseason game on Friday versus the Ravens, and I'm going to be covering all of that. So again, make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. And also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support. If you did enjoy this video, I'd greatly appreciate it, and it really does help me out a ton. Again, let's try and get to 800 likes, and also leave a comment down below just regarding anything else that I talked about in this video. And if you want to watch another video going over practice yesterday, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.